Powerful and provocative. Prophetic and practical.
Have you ever found yourself?
Are you dating for that purpose?
Informative and
I feel
inspirational.
every bit of that. Like, I'm not trying to waste my time.
How you gonna do better if you don't know what better looks like? I do. Come on, let's talk about it with me, the mind massager.
Intellectuals too, with James Kirklin. Intellectuals too. Intellectuals too. Intellectuals too, with James Kirklin. Intellectuals too. Intellectuals too. Intellectuals too. Intellectuals too, with James Kirklin.
I shared this thread.
Intellectuals too.
Let's have a conversation. Mental health.
Intellectuals too.
But even if you're thread, let's go. We're gonna get this conversation. We're going to mental health like that. Let's do something a little different tonight. A little bit different. I'm not ready. Or it'll start again on this, I don't know. But I need y'all to share.
Intellectuals too, with James Kirklin. Intellectuals too.
Have y'all shared this thread?
Intellectuals too. Intellectuals too, with James Kirklin.
I'm sorry, the neighbors.
Intellectuals
start to see what I have. Right, so let's have to do that. I'll give you a 5 minutes.
Intellectuals too.
About to be called. One more time. He's about to be called. He's about to blow. So he's about to blow my. Shout out and say my name. He's about to blow my.
All right, yeah. Every now and then I have to play that for myself. He's about to blow my mind. I like when he does that. I love that. Can you hear me better now, Elder Lisa Smith? My music was just loud, and I didn't turn it down, so that might be why you could not hear me. So let me know. Can you? Am I transmitting better now? So I can know if my music is doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's better. Okay, good. I think it was a combination of the music being loud and me moving around and all those things. So that probably had a lot to do why you could not hear me that well. What's up? What it do? Time for another episode of the Intellectual Stew with yours truly, James Kirklin. And I am exceedingly excited to be back and to make your acquaintance once more. And again, what that means is that I've made it. Grace kept me this long. I'm in the land of the dying, on my way yet to the land of the living. And in the vernacular of my grandmother, she would say it like this: it's another day's journey. And reality suggests I'm glad about it. And the fact that I am here right now means that I've been given another opportunity to whatever I got wrong on yesterday to get right on today. So I don't know. How was your weekend? Did y'all have a good weekend? I did. I just rested. I just kind of chilled. I just chilled. I didn't do much of anything. I see that it has been, it's been hot in Little Rock, hasn't it? It's like over 100 degrees. The temperature, sun is setting, the temperatures drop. Okay, yeah, you're saying that right now. You in my head, Elder Lisa Smith. Yeah, I saw 100 plus degrees, and it's hot here as well. What do y'all keep y'all's thermostat on? Because I'm already prepared for a higher electric bill, because I can't sit around the house being hot. That's not gonna work well with me. The way my body's set up, I don't like to be hot. So I got my thermostat set right now on 77 during the daytime, and then at 75 at night. And then I have a fan blowing like directly in my face. I mean, because I do not, and I repeat again, do not like to be hot. I don't. You're battling a cold? Oh no, not in the summertime. Those are the worst kind of colds. You keep yours on 69. Oh my God, my electric bill be too. I don't think I've seen an electric bill over $60-$70 in years. So somebody told me they had, in my same complex, told me they had $140 light bill. I'm like, how? But I don't know. But I keep mine on 77, 75 in the daytime. Now, if I leave, that daughter of mine, you never know. She might have it on 89 1 minute and 52 the next minute. So I gotta. But I don't know. That's my baby though. We've been. I like our living arrangements. We've been killing these watermelons right now though, man. I'm for years. I mean, I could not even find a good watermelon in Georgia. Now I'm talking about in Georgia. I know y'all Arkansas. I know y'all have good ones, but in Georgia, I could not find. But I finally found a source. Bishop Calvin Ward. He has watermelons in Mableton. So I go by and see him, and my daughter and I, we literally will kill, because she'll cut the whole thing up and put it in bowls. Hey, what's up, Alicia? How you doing? She'll cut the whole thing up and put it in bowls. And man, we'll kill a watermelon in 2 days. I mean, point blank and period. We'll kill a watermelon in 2 days. I mean, it don't even have a chance. So I'm excited. I mean, we find the smallest things to be excited about, right? I'm excited about that because, man, I'm talking about like last year, every watermelon I had was horrible. I mean, were horrible. And like I said, I've got the last two that I've gotten from Bishop Ward over there in Mableton. They were both really, really good. And like I said, she'll cut them up, put them in bowls, and that's a good midnight snack, morning snack, midday snack. And it'll be two bowls in there, and I walk in there, and one of the bowls, she doesn't take the whole bowl. She don't take none out of the bowl and put it in the styrofoam bowl like I do. So I guess we got our own separate bowls by default. I don't know how that works, but why am I talking about watermelons? I don't know. But anyway, I'm just thankful about watermelons. Hey, I'll be excited about that tonight. But what's up, y'all? If you're here, I see Alicia Milton, I see Viola, I see Deborah Christopher, I see Elder Lisa Smith. If you're here, say hello, say hi, say let me know you're listening live. Hit hashtag live so I can know that you listened live. Hit the reaction button. You can either like it, love it, share it, get some people in. I'm probably gonna be a little preachy tonight. I'm gonna step back a little bit closer to my roots because that's just like what I do. That's who I am. And I've tried to not necessarily suppress it, but I've tried to reach different audiences, right? And in reaching different audiences, you try to display different aspects of yourself. But as I thought about it, I really should display my strength more than anything else. I appreciate God for versatility. I appreciate him for the ability to connect with different audiences. But if I'm going to present myself, I think it's only fair that I present myself at what I do best, what I feel like I do best, or what I've been told I do best. So we're going to probably switch it up. We always talk about the intellectual stew. And one thing that I've always tried to do, I see 6 people watching, but only 3 people have reacted. Please just hit like. It won't even hurt a whole lot. If you just hit the like button or the love button, it won't hurt you a whole lot. Please, man, please, sir. But throughout my time on this show, one thing I've tried to do, is I've tried my very, very best to present myself to be transparent. I've tried to, if you look in the Gospels, there was a time after Jesus had died and ascended that they came back and they were on an Emmaus road, right? And he ran into a couple of disciples, and then he appeared amongst all of them, and there was one by the name of Thomas, Doubting Thomas. That's how we know him in history, right? But Doubting Thomas said that he wasn't going to believe what except he saw the nail prints. In other words, except he saw evidence. He wanted Jesus to show him his wounds, and that would make him believe. But one hard lesson that I had to learn, Stu Nation, was that you can't. What's up, Emmanuel? I'm gonna be kind of preaching tonight, Emmanuel, so don't cuss me out too bad. But y'all listen, y'all are free to stop me at any point. If we're talking and you can identify with something that I'm saying, I'm gonna put the phone number up again, because I always forget to do that. Let me put the phone number up and get us set up to take phone calls, because like I said, if something that I'm saying, if you can relate to it. Now, all of this is going to circle back to mental health, because this is Men's Mental Health Month, right? So even me being preachy, even me touching some of these scriptures that I'm going to touch tonight, it's all going to make a U-turn, and before it's all over with, we're going to end up back on this whole thing as it relates to mental health. So, like I said, I'm gonna have to go back to my roots, because I'm a preacher. I've been doing this for 29 years. That's what I'm called to do. Like I said, I try to reach more audiences, but let me go a little bit back. So Doubting Thomas, he said he wouldn't believe unless he saw the wounds, right? So one hard lesson I had to learn was that you can't expose your wounds to everybody. You can try to be transparent. You can try to open up. You can do all those things. You can overshare, but you can't expose yourself to everyone, because not everyone is equipped to deal with your wounds. Okay, I want to make that make sense, because I better understood this. Those that have followed me for any amount of time, that a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, so my dad had a heart attack. He was at the high school. Potassium level went low. He had a heart attack, passed. They revived him, took him to the hospital. He slipped in and out of he had cardiac arrest 4 times. They ended up having to put him in ICU, 14 IVs in him. I went home, we prayed, Long story short, my dad is back. He's fine. He's back. He's fine right now. He's fine. But while he was in the hospital, Elder Lisa Smith, while he was in the hospital, Emmanuel, he developed a bad staph infection. And I didn't know what that was then. Y'all know more about this than I do. But because of all the ports that were in him from the different IVs, I guess they weren't changing the ports quick enough. So he developed a staph infection, right? And so here this big, because he went home wondering why his hand wouldn't go down. His hand's really, really swollen. So they take him back to the doctor. They discover he has a staph infection. Staph infections are very dangerous. They can be deadly if they're not taken care of. So my dad has a staph infection. And so he goes into the doctor, and that staph infection, when they perform surgery, they clean the infection out. And when they clean the infection out, they take a bunch of gauze and they wrap this gauze up and they put gauze inside of the wound. And I think they called that, y'all help me out on this because I'm not a medical professional, but they did something called packing the wound. They were packing the wound. They would put, packing it with gauze. They're packing it with gauze. And so now the thing about this gauze is that the gauze, okay, thank you. The gauze has to be changed every day or every couple of days, however often, because you can't leave that bloody gauze inside of him, right? So my mom, they've been married. How old am I? I'm 51. I'll be 52. They've been married almost 45 years. They were married 43, 44 years at that time. She's seen every side of him, but she couldn't handle that wound. They wanted her to pack the wound. She said, I'm sorry, I can't do it. Y'all either got to send somebody to the house or we got to go somewhere every day. But I cannot handle taking the gauze out and what I'm saying is you got to be careful how you expose certain aspects of yourself to certain people because they're not equipped to handle whatever it is, whatever wound you might have, whatever wound you might be dealing with at this particular time. Now, understand, there are I put up 11. There are 2 different types of wounds. Now, this is me talking. You got self-inflicted wounds. You got God-inflicted wounds. Now, God-inflicted wounds, you go through it, you get your lesson, you get the blessing, and you move on. Self-inflicted wounds usually last a little longer. That's something you put on yourself. That usually lasts a little longer. The lesson takes a little bit longer to learn. But good thing is they all work together for the good. Let me see. Everybody can't handle your wounds, nor should everyone have access. Absolutely. But sometimes, let me see what Jesse said. Rip it out every day, maybe twice a day to make it work. My mama wasn't doing that. Now, Jesse, you can handle that. I get it. But my point is, everybody is not equipped to handle your wounds. So exposing yourself, becoming too common too soon, oversharing, we have to be careful. And I think sometimes, I've made that mistake because trying to be common with people, trying to make people understand you. I've often all my life since I was a little boy, I've been misunderstood. Sometimes people say I'm mean. Some people say I'm too sarcastic. Some people they rock with me. Some people can't stand me. Some people love me. Some people don't. I don't care because I rock with who I rock with, and I share what I share, and I try to be transparent because I think that sometimes people can relate when they can see that you go through the same things that they go through. But then some people would turn around and take that whole thing and use that thing against you. So you got to be careful when it comes to oversharing, because I've learned in a very practical way that we should always keep our discerning spirits in tune. Now, a discerning spirit, the way I understand it, y'all can talk about it how you want to. I see that to be, I've been taught that's a spiritual gift. Now some people call it intuition. Some people call it whatever. However, y'all, whatever. If you got it, you got it. If you got it, use it. But you should always keep your discerning spirit in tune, because at the very moment we drop our guard, then an enemy seeks to creep in. And that's why there are certain scriptures in Bible that encourage us to guard our mind. Ephesians 6, what does it say? Put on the helmet of salvation. Now, everything, you got your whole armor of God. You got the shield, the loins girded about with truth, the belt, the loins girded about with truth. You got the shield of faith. You got the help me out, the sword of the spirit. I got all those different aspects of but there's one part that covers your head. That's the helmet of salvation, right? Romans 12:2 says, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed. Yeah, Mr. Devil praise on the idle mind. Yeah, I got that. But he says, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. You got to constantly keep renewing your mind. 2 Corinthians 4:4 said, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them. Now, for a long time, Elder Lisa, Emmanuel, Alicia, I misread that scripture. I thought it said blinded the eyes of them. It didn't say that. If you read it, it says blinded the minds of them, because to keep lest the light of the glorious gospel should be hid, because it wants to keep us, here it is, and this is where mental health comes in. It wants to keep us in a dark place. It wants to keep us in where there's an absence of light. Because when there's no light, we're in darkness. And who can really see in darkness, right? So that's why the enemy, the God of this world, lowercase g, wants to, he says he wants to he hath blinded the minds of them, lest the light of the gospel should be hid. So this is why Peter in 1 Peter 5:8 encourages his reader what? He says, be sober, be vigilant, because we have an adversary who he calls the devil, who Emmanuel just identified. He is as a roaring lion. I see y'all's comments. Seeking someone to devour. So notice how Peter highlights the mindset that we should have. He says, number one, be sober. And number two, what? Be vigilant. He says, number one, this is a mindset, because we got to protect our mind. We're talking about mental health right now, because this is the thing for me. And y'all need to share this tonight, because this is going to get real good in a minute. I'm just setting the foundation now. But see, this is the thing. We can talk about being in a healthy relationship, but we're not really healthy yet ourselves. We think we are, but we really don't know until we get in our next, because we don't even know if we're healed until we're in our next relationship. I say that all the time. So I had to really back up, because I use this expression in church quite a bit, where I say, people are always talking about they want good members. We want to get good members. We want good members. But Elder Lisa, you can't be a good member if you're not a good me. Hello, lights. You can't. Before a member is a member, a member has to, first of all, how do you spell member? M-E. So before you can be a good member, you got to be a good me. Before you can be a good in a relationship, you got to be the best version of yourself. Before you can be in a healthy relationship, you got to be a real good you, which means you have to do the work. I asked a question on my Facebook page today, and I appreciate you all who responded. I appreciate you all who responded. And the question that I asked was, I said, seems like everybody is talking about moving on, but nobody's really talking about reconciliation. And everybody said, well, I'm not talking about reconciliation. After I've done everything that I've done, and I tried to do this first, and I tried to do that. And when I tried to do that, that didn't work. And then, of course, I had to move on. I want to say, well, sweetheart, you tried to reconcile if you tried to do this, and you tried to do that. And you tried to do that. You tried to reconcile. So why are you fighting air? And what that lets me know, and I was talking to my therapist about this morning, is that there's so much trauma especially in the African American community, right? And we've never been treated for the trauma. And all we do is, after we've been hurt or we've dealt with trauma, is we've dealt with it and we've just moved on. I like that, Emmanuel. Emmanuel said, I would rather have bad members and then turn them into good members. At least you got somebody to work with. Most people don't want to do work, though. All right, so let me talk about this. Some people don't want to be good members, but you know what? We can talk about the negatives and what people don't want to do and all that. I mean, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I think negative gets a whole lot of gets a lot of free press. I think negative gets a real. I think we give a lot of negative. How much positive press? How much press do we give positivity? Right? If we talked about, and I feel you, Sandra, but if we talked about, you know, if we spend as much time talking about all positives, right, as much as we spend talking about negatives, I wonder if we could change the tide. Yeah, I keep talking about some, you know, and point the finger right. This is real. I can talk about some people all the time, but I want to talk about me. I mean, I get it, because when I'm in the mirror, and nobody's in the mirror but me. I don't want to talk about what somebody else does, and I feel you if that's where you're at. I get it. Some people and I can say that some people do or just like to talk about what some people do. I'm trying to rise above that, right, by working on me, and that's why this whole mental health thing that we're talking. So let's get back on this. I'm sorry. Peter said that the word sober means to be calm and collected. That's what sober means. So if we're sober, then we're not worried about what everybody is. I'm really worried about becoming the best version of James. That's where I'm at on that. So vigilant means to watch. It means to give strict attention to. It means to take heed through remission and indolence, so some destructive calamity suddenly overtake one. It means we got to put ourselves in a vigilant position because we're aware that negative thoughts, Sandra, negative thoughts, Lisa, negative thoughts, when they come in our mind, every negative emotion is looking for a body. It's looking for something to help it manifest itself, because running around by itself, it can't do anything. A negative thought is just a thought until it comes out of my mouth. Because when a negative thought presents itself, at that moment, wasn't all God disciples of wrong? I don't understand. Rewrite that question. I don't think I'm reading it right. And I'm not talking about what's right. I mean, what's wrong. Everybody is human, right? We get it. We have our moments of frailties, right? All of us. But do we use that as an excuse to keep doing the wrong thing? They say insanity is doing the same thing, looking for different results. Paul says, "Shall we continue in sin? God forbid." No, it's a time, even when, and then it also says, "To him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin." So at a certain point, when we know better, we kind of like try to do better, you know. But that's only me. That's only me becoming the best version of myself. So here it is. If a person has a momentary lapse and lacks soberness for a season because he wasn't vigilant, that doesn't mean that he was necessarily mentally ill, but he could be having a problem with mental health. Yeah, we all make mistakes. Absolutely. Absolutely. But we learn from our mistakes, and then we move on from our mistakes. I don't think can I ask you this question? I'm going to ask you this question since you asked me a question. If we make mistakes, should we marinate in our mistakes, or should we learn from our mistakes? That's a question for you, Emmanuel. Or do we use that as a license to keep on? Well, I messed up. I'm human, so I'm going to keep on messing up. I know I'm going to mess up, but I want to learn from my mistakes so I don't make the same mistake again. If I make the mistake, like if I was a child, right, and I was at one time, and I went in grandmama's kitchen, and I made the mistake of touching a hot stove, I bet you I didn't make that mistake again, because I don't like the ramifications of touching the hot stove. And I think that's the thing, even with as human beings, that there are times as adults, as children, all those things, we made mistakes. But at a certain point, we learn from those mistakes. Now, this morning I asked my therapist a question. I said, is there a difference between mental illness and mental health? I got you. How are you going to learn if you don't make mistakes? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now, hold on. Hold on. Sandra, I got to give you one of these. Hold on, Sandra, I'm gonna have to give you one of these. This is special for Sandra. Then I'm gonna get back to my sermon. I'm a preacher in a minute. I feel like kind of preaching. This is for Sandra.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
All right, thank you, Sandra. I like that comment. She said, if you continue to make the same mistakes, it's no longer a mistake. It's become a habit. It's a choice. That ain't a mistake. That's a choice. I agree with that. But I'm striving not to make mistakes, though. I don't want to use that as a crutch. I'm striving perfection. Perfection in the Hebrew, in the Greek, means I'm striving for maturity. I'm trying to be better than I was, right? So let me go a little bit further. Okay, so I'm talking to my therapist this morning, and I asked her a question. I asked her if there's a difference. I'm trying to find this article that Alicia Milton sent me today. I asked her, is a choice or a lifestyle, if there was a difference between mental illness and mental health, and she shared a nice article with me, and I'm going to put it in the group right now because there is a difference, and I really, y'all need to check that out. Check it out. Yeah. All right. So I'm not going to be able to read all the comments because I got to get through some of these. Okay. So she explained that there's levels to this. She said she would classify, this is what my therapist said. She said she would classify mental illness as something like schizophrenia, severe PTSD, severe bipolar disorder, certain conditions. But she says sometimes we exercise poor mental health when we have trouble processing our emotions. Does that make sense? She said, here it is. She says our environment can affect our emotions, affect our emotions. And she says trauma, and that's what I just said a few minutes ago. Trauma has always been a part of our community, and we are the effects. I said this last week. We are the effects of what we have been exposed to and what we have been embraced. That's right. Okay, so let's talk about that. Emmanuel, if you went over your cousin's house when you were younger and you weren't immune to it, and your cousin had chicken pox, and it's highly contagious, right? And sometimes people would do that so they can get some of these diseases out of the way. When you went over there, because you were exposed to chicken pox, you started getting some of the effects, right? You started itching too. Or they got pink eye and they touch you and you touch your eye, pink eye, because we're the effects of what we exposed to. And even when we didn't try to embrace it, we still caught it because it was contagious, right? Some things in society we've just picked up by osmosis, by being in an environment, right? By orientation, simply for being in the area. And understand this, trauma has always been a part of our community. And because from slavery, from Jim Crow, from all of these things, they all help shape us. And when have we as a people had real therapy? When have we had time to really deal with the trauma? We just kept moving from one trauma to the next, from one trauma to the next, from one trauma to the next, because at a certain point, it all becomes I'm sorry. Okay, I see you, Charlotte. I'm flowing right. Give me a second. I see you though. But what was I saying? I hate when I do that. I might cut these comments off. Oh yeah, I know how to do it. But sometimes we don't get we never got in therapy, right? We've never really dealt with it because we were here it is. We never really dealt with it because we were just told to deal with it and move on. Right? And so last couple of shows I've done is I've talked about, the different attachment styles and how from infancy, how we're products of our environment and how as we grow, we relate to others in adulthood based on how we were dealt with as children. And understanding, we talked about this, our attachment styles, they can change as we grow up. We might have a ambivalent attachment style, but as we grow older, somebody might love us properly, and then now we might end up developing a secure attachment style. Or later on, all the anxiety, whatever, they change over time because every relationship influences our attachment style because we respond accordingly because we are designed. Here it is. We're designed by nature to survive. By nature. Dr. David Dedrick, University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, told us years ago that what makes us human beings is our abilities to adapt. Whatever situation you put a human being in, if he takes the time, sits down, thinks about it, comes up with an action plan, he can figure it out because we can adapt. If you put us in the snow, we'll build an igloo. You put us in the woods, we'll build a fire. Put us in whatever situation we're in, and we'll survive because we're by nature, we're survivors. You give grandmama some chitlins and she'll stretch them with some hog maws, right? Or if you need to put a little cornstarch in it to thicken it up, whatever you got to do, you're just going to make it happen, right? Because by nature, that's what we do. We react. We're survivors. So when people come and they challenge our mental space or they challenge our personal space, then, or even as we relate to them, we end up developing an attachment style and don't even realize it. If they're mean to us, we might build a shell. If we let them get in too close, and then they hurt us, then the next relationship is going to feel it. I mean, some relationships that you're in now, you're paying because of what somebody did 10, 15, 20 years ago. Yeah. Let me read one of my comments. Elder Lisa said, I be trying to read these comments. I'm going to have to get help because I promise y'all I can't preach and read it. She said, I've endured an uncommon amount of trauma, but I want y'all to talk to each other in the comments more than anything. So don't be mad if I don't see your comments, but if you all talk to each other and encourage each other, that's really what I'm really striving for in the comments. So she said, I've been doing an uncommon amount of trauma throughout my life, and I had to learn who I am, how I was created to function, and apply the wisdom gained in my relationship with my creator to teach me. Absolutely. Every relationship should teach you something about yourself, especially once you survive it. I asked the question last week, can a person lose their mind? And Dr. Evans came in and he explained, he said he don't believe a person can lose their mind, but he believes a person can have a psychotic breakdown. And that was a good answer. And I appreciated him for the answer that he shared with us right now, because like I said, and that's what Elder Lisa said, every relationship that we're in, and I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. I'm talking about interpersonal relationships, work relationships, church relationships. Every relationship that we're in, they shape us. That's why we heard the statement that iron sharpens iron. That's why we got to be equally yoked. That's why you got to hang around the right people. Certain people will just bring you down. You got to be careful what's the old saying? If you lay down with dogs and that dog got fleas, you're going to probably get up and have fleas too. So you got to be hanging. If you need to be nervous when you're the smartest person in the room all the time, because you don't have anybody to stretch you. You don't have anybody to take you to the next level. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want somebody that's going to challenge me. And sometimes, they'll tell you, they'll say something like, well, you're not very talkative. You ain't saying nothing. What we talking for? You got half on the conversation. If you don't have half, how we going to help each other? It's imbalanced. If I'm doing all the talking, then it's a monologue. I can talk to myself. And I don't even have to open my mouth. I can talk in my head. Iron sharpens iron. That's why you got to be careful who you let in. And with the proper attachment style, a productive relationship. Hold on, let me see what this says. Oh, no. Well, I'm going to finish I'm at the comment. When a productive relationship, it's not going to produce. Here it is. Let me say this. A productive relationship is not going to produce nor ferment the insecurities that we promote so often, because we love to advertise our wounds to people who are not equipped to pack the wounds. Go back in. Let me see. She said, when you go through trauma in your life, once you get out of it, you have to do the shadow work. You have to look at yourself. If you can't be honest with yourself, you can't. That's absolutely right. That Sandra settles what she just said, because some people on YouTube can't see these comments. All right. So I want to look at John chapter 8. And I want to look at this particular woman. This is John chapter 8. I'm going to look at probably verses 1 through 8, 1 through 9, 1 through 10, somewhere around that range. Right. And like I said, share this because I want to get into the meat of the matter now of what I really want to discuss. Because this woman was kind of dealing with the pressures of life. And see, the pressures of life. Y'all read that. If you will, Alicia Milton, do me a favor. Can you write a slight paragraph explaining the differences between mental illness and mental health? The way I understood it was mental illness and mental health is like a physical illness and physical health, right? I could be physically healthy, but I can kind of feel but I can have a physical illness like the flu. Now, I'm not going to always have the flu. I can take the right medication and take the right fluids and be well, right? But then there's some sicknesses, some illnesses that it's a little bit, you don't recover from quite the same. That same thing, schizophrenia, some of the other illnesses are there. But sometimes, the pressures of life can kind of hit you hard, right? And that'll make you kind of rethink some things, and that'll put your mind in a position where you have poor mental health, where your emotional intelligence might be in question, because at that moment, the brain is not in a position to make a good decision. That's why it's very beneficial to challenge children's cognitive skills, right? Put them in positions to think, put them in positions to figure things out. So then when they're presented with something, they don't always go with the first choice, right? When you present me with an idea, my mind can almost see 3-4 screens immediately, right? Because I don't just think, I try to think in layers. Right? But when the pressures of life start weighing on me, then some of those layers start to go away, right? And my mental health becomes challenged. I was going through something a couple of weeks ago, well, last few weeks, that almost challenged me, where I felt like I wasn't myself. I wasn't trying to make good decisions. I was struggling with some things that I normally wouldn't struggle with. And I said, you know what, I better grab me a little therapy on, and I got me a therapist now. And we kind of started, she's kind of helping me talk through some things now. And I'm understanding where I was, and I'm on my way back. Now, I said this was ironic because a couple of months ago, I finished my first book. I haven't launched it yet. I did a soft launch. A few people have a copy of it. If you have it and you've read it, feel free to chime in. But because if what I'm saying makes sense. But at a certain point in my life, I went through a season of depression now. And with that depression piece, I was stuck on the couch. That's what I called it. There was a certain couch in my house that I was stuck on. And I talk about that in great detail in the book, how I was stuck. I ate on the couch. I slept on the couch. I did homework on the couch. If people came over to visit, I entertained on the couch. I watched TV on the couch. I did everything. And at a certain point during that season of my life, real talk, and this is just me being honest, silence kind of sounded like noise, because I was used to hearing sound, because I was used to hearing sound. I mean, it just was what it was. I was used to hearing sound. And now silence sounded like noise. And so for a season, I was stuck on that couch. It was so bad, Sandra, that I would fall asleep. I rarely went to bed. I rarely ever went to bed. I just fell asleep. I cannot read all that. Yeah, everybody else read it. I would never fall asleep. I'd be wanting to read it too. I would never fall asleep. I wouldn't go to bed. I just fall asleep. And then when I would wake up, it'd be 3-4 o'clock in the morning. And then I would try to go get into bed. And then I would lay in the bed about 15-20 minutes. Then I get right back up and go get back on the couch. And in this process, read it now. I can't flow if I do that. I'm gonna tell Bishop on you, Elder Lisa. But somebody else, I'm gonna have to get somebody on the show to read for me, because I can't read and keep my thoughts together. Let me see. Oftentimes we need to learn how we accept the current situation, and through discernment, we can choose how we allow the situation to affect us. When the mind is strong, and y'all, I got a phone number on there. Y'all can read and say this stuff yourself. Call in and say it yourself. Then that way I don't have to read it, and people can hear it. But I don't care, nor do I want. Okay, hold on. It said it's strong enough to observe and process. We can dispense the issue where we desire and either act on it or let it just roll off like water. That is my I don't care, nor do I want to smile and move on. Got you. All right, so I'm going to get into John 8. I'm not reading no more long comments right now, Lisa. So if you're going to have to break them down into half paragraphs or something, and just do more comments, because I cannot read all them comments, and I'm laughing but very serious at the same time. So don't get mad at me. And but I'm just being honest. I can't read. I'm just one man. I got 4 eyes. These glasses I can't see too. I can see pretty good on here. But anyway, all right. John chapter 8. Very, 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 very familiar passage of scripture. In John chapter 8, when you come on the scene, Jesus has just come back from sleeping in the Mount of Olives from the day before. He comes into the temple on that morning, and he's teaching. Now, the temple then was not like church now. Church now, we come on Sundays, maybe on Wednesday night. Y'all don't even want to do that no more. That's okay. But temple was every day. They literally hung out every day. Every day they came to the temple. So they came to the temple on that particular day, and Jesus is teaching. He's teaching, and the scribes and the Pharisees, they brought a woman to him, and they brought her, and they stood her in the midst of him. Verse number 3 says, and the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery, and when they had set her in the midst, they say unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned, but what sayest thou? This they said, tempting him, that they might have to accuse him. In other words, they brought this woman who was caught committing adultery. Scribes and Pharisees brought her into the temple. I ain't gonna say church. Brought into the temple. Brought her to Jesus, because Jesus' notoriety, his fame is spreading. He's different. He's been teaching doctrine that they were not familiar with. So they were trying to find any reason they could to accuse him. Jesus comes in talking about he's the king of the Jews, all these different things. And they had been strict at it as it related to Judaism for years, so they did it a certain type of way, and they weren't used to this new thing that Jesus was bringing now, because Jesus said, I didn't come to destroy the law, but I came to fulfill the law. So he came with a whole different perspective now, right? And as he comes with this perspective, they want to trip him up. They bring this woman, a sinner. No, she's caught in adultery. That's her sin, but we all have our sin. And we have all, I'm gonna get to that in a minute. But we have all done something. But for the sake of this lesson, we're gonna call them the fault finders. All right. I want everybody that's listening right now, type that in the comments for me. Fault, F-A-U-L-T. We're gonna call them the fault finders. These people, the Pharisees and the scribes, they were what I'm calling fault finders. Now, let's be clear. Lisa, okay, yeah, fault finders. Yeah, I'm gonna get a couple more people. I'm gonna get through this, but a couple more people. Type fault finders for me, if y'all can. F-A-U-L-T. Those are the fault finders, the scribes and the Pharisees. But let's be clear about something. The church gets a bad rap because the truth of the matter is, we don't only encounter fault finders in the church. My friends are going to learn that on Monday nights I do my show, so they don't call me. Thank you. Appreciate you. I just embarrassed somebody for calling me. My friends should know that. But fault finder. Thank you, Jesse. But we don't only encounter these kind of people in church. We encounter fault finders at work. We encounter fault finders at the gym. We have fault finders in our families. We have fault finders online, people we don't even know online, etc. We encounter fault finders in different aspects and in different areas of our lives. What's a fault finder? Somebody that wants to try their very best to find fault in you. Yeah. See, John 10:10, Jesus said, I've come he said, I've come, but not but to steal. He said, what did he say? The thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and to steal and to destroy. But I can't talk. The thief cometh not but for to steal, kill, and destroy. But I've come that you might have what? Life. Not only life, but I want to give you life more abundantly. What does the enemy want us? The thief comes to steal your joy. Number one, he wants to kill your faith. Number two, he wants to kill your faith. But then third of all, he wants to destroy your character. How does he do that? He does that by highlighting your fault and using that against you. That's why you can't give the enemy ammunition. That's why you have to be careful with the whole self-inflicted wounds thing. It's bad enough I got to go through the God-inflicted wounds. It's bad enough that I got to go through the test that God allows. But when I start making things making things worse on myself because I'm my own worst enemy, come on, man. Yeah, they said that they caught her in the very act of adultery. It is the religious leaders brought this woman to Jesus in shame-filled, humiliating circumstances. She was held against her will, a prisoner under the custody of religious police who caught her involved with a man who wasn't her husband. Did y'all know some religious police that love to practice the point the finger righters moments? But do you realize when you point the finger, where the camera at? When you point the finger at somebody else, you got 1, 2, 3. You got 4 more fingers pointing right back at yourself. That's why our grandmama never used to say it like this. When you dig one ditch, somebody finish that for me. When you dig one ditch, I was reading, that gave me time to read Elder Lisa's comment. But when you dig one ditch, don't stop there. Dig 2. Because the ditch you deal for somebody else, guess what? That ditch just might. Wish I had a witness right here. That you better dig well for yourself, because that ditch might be for you. So all indications indicated that her accusers had some special vindictiveness against her. Legally speaking, this is because adultery was a sin in that day. No doubt it was. Legally speaking, the standard of evidence was very high for this crime. There had to be 2 witnesses, and they had to agree perfectly. In other words, they had to see, this is for adultery to count in those days, they had to see the sexual act take place. It wasn't enough for them to see the pair leaving the hotel room. I know it wasn't no hotels back then. I'm making this practical. But they had to see the couple together or even lying on the same bed together. So, I mean, they had to have evidence, man, to really bring these kind of accusations to a court. In other words, the actual physical movements of the couple must have been capable under no other explanation. If it was going to be valid, in other words, you got to be careful believing whatever rumor somebody. You know how quick y'all believe stuff, man? I mean, y'all can some of the clickbait that you see online, man, it's just crazy how you promote something that's so far from the truth. And usually, I mean, you can check truth so quick. A quick Google search will let you know half the time if something's right or wrong. And if you don't want to go Google, go Snopes, SNOPES. But because most of us want to see, because we have such, here it is, because we have such negative perceptions of ourselves, we want to see somebody else in a much more negative light than we see ourselves, so we can see ourselves better than they are. Yep, I just said that. I said it. 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 I shown up did. Conditions were so, I mean, it was very rare that somebody could really prove adultery in the Bible. They had they had to be there themselves, Charlotte, to see it. And under these conditions, my voice I ain't gonna change it yet. I don't have C sharp. But under these conditions, okay, I hear you, AR. Under these conditions, the obtaining of evidence in adultery would be almost impossible. Here it is, unless it was a setup. Hold on, I got to do one right there. You said my voice changed. I got to do one right there, man. I got to do one. I got to do one right there. Hold on, just one. Because the only way adultery could have been proven in that day, it was so hard to prove unless it was a setup.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
Yeah. But here they are, bringing her before Jesus. Yeah. And because this is the thing about it. Emmanuel. What's up, Jackie? Here it is. When a fault finder gets you in his sights, make sure you don't give them extra ammunition with your self-inflicted wounds. We were born in sin, shaping in iniquity. We have to learn to tell the truth. I mean, some of the certain, because we were born a certain way, right? So the woman giving in to her pleasures, and she didn't do it by herself, because somebody asked, where was the man? If they brought the woman, why didn't they bring him? Wasn't he complicit in the situation in that moment? If you chop it up, Alicia, maybe you can do it that way. I appreciate you, Elder Smith, Lisa. Okay, so she was guilty, no doubt about it. She was guilty. She was caught in the very act. But and I ain't gonna lie. Let me raise my hand. I know I'm the only one on the line that's gonna be honest. I know all y'all are perfect. Y'all ain't never made no mistakes. I get it. Y'all good. I understand. But me, I've made mistakes. But thankfully, when this woman made a mistake, she ran into somebody like Jesus. Because see, sometimes, when a person makes a mistake and then they run into somebody like you, then you'll make them marinate in their misery so long that they'll stay stuck in their mistake. Now, Jesus was nowhere to be found. Yes, he was. Thankfully, she ran into Jesus in this moment while they were, yes, he was. When they were, listen to what I'm saying. When they brought her to somebody, they brought her to Jesus. Thankfully, it was Jesus and not some of y'all, because some of y'all would have, magnified the mistake. Or you might have pulled out your camera phone and made a post about it. Or all that, because people do people. And like I said, we're muckrakers. We see the world how we see ourselves. And so because they saw themselves, okay, I got you. Yeah, even know I got, that's why. Yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah, so they wanted, here it is. The fault finders wanted to see her stoned, but Jesus wanted to see her saved. Jackie, that's a harsh way of saying that. That's a harsh way, because if they have poor mental health, that choice might be made for them. They might not be as strong as you are, and that's why, you know what, I'm learning in this 50. I'll be 52 in July 6th, y'all. If y'all want to buy me something for my birthday, but July 6th, I'm learning to be a little more sensitive, because I'm learning how to give people a margin of error, because I realize that some people aren't equipped to think like I think. Because if we really do develop our attachment styles as children, and all of us don't start at the same place, because I wasn't abused as a child, but somebody else was, and if that attachment style dictates how I behave in the future, in my future relationships, then we're starting in different places in life. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, it can. You absolutely. You might not ever realize it, Emmanuel. If you don't ever become aware of it, if nobody ever makes you aware of that attachment style, because whatever we do, that's our normal. A person can operate in dysfunction for so long that their dysfunction becomes their normal. There it is. They have to first of all recognize that there's a mistake. If a mistake is the norm, if that's what you do all the time, and you don't have anything to as a litmus test to compare it against, then your wrong is your normal. That's why some people can live and continue doing wrong after wrong. And we'll sit there and say, Brian, hey, listen, I can't help you with that one. If you don't understand that one, you can't. I think we just explained that. Go back and listen to it again and rewind it a little bit. I think we just explained that. We did. And I get it. If you think everybody thinks like you, then I understand why you're saying it that way. I get it. If you think outside of you, and how other people might, and I said a whole lot right then that really probably would have answered that question. But either way, let me move on a little bit. And Emmanuel, I hope you get it. If not, then that's cool. We all grow in the same garden. Okay. So the fault finders wanted to see her stoned. Jesus wanted to see her saved. They wanted to see her battered. Jesus wanted to see her better. He extended grace. That's what I'm trying to do. While others were finding fault. All right. So why do you think? Here's a question. Why do y'all think, and I really want to entertain this for a second, if y'all don't mind. Why do y'all think, thank you, Alicia Milton. She's helping you explain the difference between mental, and you can help me with that too, Phoenicia. We're explaining in the comments what the difference is between a mental illness and just mental health. But here's the question. Why, Emmanuel, I'm going to put you on this list. I'm playing. I'm laughing. It's joking. But why do y'all think people are so mean? Why do y'all think people are so mean? Why do y'all think people are so mean? I got mine. You got to get yours. Man, I walk my children through every step of the way. If they call, if my son's doing so well right now, if he calls me and asks me for help for a thought right now, I got him. But I'll never call it impose because I want him to figure it out on his own. Now, there was a season I did impose, but as he got older, I stopped imposing. I stopped suggesting. I just listen. But then if he asks for help, because I want him to learn the consequences of his mistake. I couldn't think for him. I want him to have his own healthy cognitive skills. And those same behaviors and attitudes trickle down to my girls. That's what I tried to do. Oh, I missed a phone call. Who tried to call? Let me go back. If you tried to call again. I missed it. Call again I'm sorry. Call again. I didn't see the call coming in. Call one more time. Call me one more time because I got to get back into this lesson because I'm going to finish this tonight, so I might be on for another 30, 45 minutes. Whoever just tried to call me, call back one more time, please, so I can, if you want to, but if you don't, then I'm going to continue doing what I was doing. Let me see this. Hello? Hello? Yeah. Yeah, who is this? Who am I speaking with? Who is JP? Oh, I'm put you on right now. I didn't know that nickname. Hold on, let me put you on so you can say, hold on. Yeah, tell me stuff like that. Uh, She said JP, but well, JP, this is I'm sorry, let me put her who she want to be. All right. All right, so what you got for me, JP?
Hey, so first of all, good evening to everyone. Let me say this. So what I was saying was you said that a person will keep you in your mistake. And what I was saying was
I did.
if you say mistake, that's on you. I feel like that's a personal choice because if someone after you've apologized and attempted to make amends and they attempt to keep you in your mistake, that's on you if you don't remove them from your life and move on. That's what I was saying. I wasn't saying about the.
I didn't realize I said that. But if I said that, then yeah, I agree with you. But I didn't realize I said that. I might have misspoke on that one. My bad. You know I'm.
Yeah. Your big sister catch stuff. But anyway, I just want to clarify.
I'll go back and listen to make sure if I didn't say it, I'm gonna correct my big sister too. Though. But it's all good.
Okay.
Thank you, JP.
Okay.
Let me get my sermon. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So I asked a question. Why do y'all think people are so mean? Okay. Elderly said hurt without knowledge. Oh no, that wasn't the answer. They lack knowledge. Abuse, denial, rejected, never feeling loved. Okay, thank you, Charlotte. She said there's a reason some people are mean because they've been through abuse, they've gone through denial, they've been rejected, they've never felt loved. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Why do y'all think people are so mean? Matthew 24:12 said it because he says, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. In other words, he's saying that we stop loving because sin starts becoming prevalent. Because we turn a blind eye, or sin becomes a lifestyle. Because the old saying is that Africa, if I could read that long paragraph, I'm gonna read it. Hold on, let me read it. But y'all know anything you do 21 days becomes a habit. Typically that's what this old saying is, right? So it's so easy to create a new normal. And so if you start creating a new normal, and that new normal involves a lifestyle of sin, right, then sin becomes the norm. And then after a while, something you do. I like to use the progression of sin as you have a process of wondering, wondering. You wonder about it. You see it. I wonder what that's like. I wonder what that would feel like if I did it. I wonder. But then you go from a process of wondering to a process of wandering, WANDR. Now I don't want to just see it. Now I'm considering seizing it. Because it's there, it's accessible. I'm going to try my best to go get it. I'm going to put forth an action plan to get it. So I go from a process of wondering to a process of wandering. And then after that, then I've gotten into the process of wrongdoing, right? And the more I do it, the easier it becomes, because, it's like, you develop an addiction to crack cocaine, right? When you did, the first time you do it, you wasn't addicted, but all of a sudden you kept doing it, and now you're addicted. It becomes a lifestyle. If you commit adultery, you do it. First time you cheat, you might go home and you might shake and you might feel convicted, but you keep doing it. Eventually, develop a lifestyle. When you develop the lifestyle, it's easier to keep doing it, right? So that's kind of where we find ourselves in life when sin takes over, because now the love that we used to have, it starts to wax cold. We don't love like we used to. That's why we're so mean now. I don't really know you online, but I don't know you like that to be talking that crazy to you. After my last event, man, people are putting stuff online about me. Man, I was hot. I was 38, because I was there trying to do something good. And but I'm not gonna go back down that soapbox. But people. Okay, Africa said the difference between those who have traumas is that some use their traumas as weapons and as an excuse to hurt people, and others actually seek and receive help and healing for their trauma. I've been on an emotional punching bag for enough people to know the difference. We have to learn to be accountable for fixing us. It's not no one else's responsibility except the man, woman. Girl, you better. Okay, hold on. She got to get one, y'all. She got to get one.
Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord.
Cool. Yeah, that was a good comment. I'm glad I read that long comment. I appreciate you for that one. I appreciate you for that one. I appreciate you that one. Yeah. So it's a sad world that we live in, when people would rather see you suffer stoning rather than seeing you saved. And truth be told, some of us, and I'm not gonna do like Jesus. I ain't gonna stoop on the ground, none of that kind of stuff. But truth be told, some of us on the line, some of y'all listening right now, some of y'all who have not listened yet, but you will listen. Some of us have participated in public martyrs. Some of us have thrown rocks and hid in our hands. Tell the truth. How many people have you publicly? How many people have you publicly or privately stoned because of something you found out or something you heard? Look at how Jesus deals with the fault finder. Because see, I love that whole era we went through in the late 90s, WWJD. What would Jesus do? Even if you don't believe, as him as Savior, you can still follow his life, right? And learn some of the characteristics and some of the behavior patterns that he used, and acquiesce some of those behavior patterns towards your own personal life, right? Now, I love how he dealt with those fault finders. Y'all remember we talked about the fault finders, the scribes and the Pharisees. They said, verse number 7, John chapter 8, those that are following along. John chapter 8, verse number 7 said that, but he said, am I on the right page? Oh, yeah. Hold on, I might have turned my pages too far. I'm looking at my notes. Oh yeah, verse number 6 says, but Jesus stooped down and with his finger wrote on the ground as though he heard them not. See the picture? They brought the woman into the temple, stood her in the midst of them, as Elder Lisa said, in her shame, because they caught her in the act of adultery. All these men bringing one woman to the temple in front of the master, in front of Jesus, trying to catch him up. And when they bring him, they started saying, Jesus, what you going to do about it? Jesus, what you going to do? Moses says she should be stoned. You talking about you're a keeper of the law, all this kind of stuff. You know the word. You're the embodiment of the New Testament. What you going to do? Jesus stooped down. He said snitching. That showed what they was doing. And within the power of his might, he stoops down, takes his finger, starts writing on the ground as though he heard them not. You know what you have to do sometimes? Sometimes in life, when people try to use you as a garbage can, because people will bring you their mess. I had to get on a friend today, and I said, man, you know what? Let's be fair in exchange with our relationship. He said, what do you mean? I said, man, you love to bring me all of your drama with all your relationships. I said, do I do the same to you? He said, nah. I said, let's be even. because I don't really like people. You know, that's like when if I had a house, right? If I'm at my house and I got a front yard, and a manure truck just pulls up to my front yard and just empties all that manure on my yard and doesn't spread it, doesn't do anything, don't do nothing like that. And I got to deal with the ramifications. I got to deal with the smell. I got to spread it. I got to worry about stepping in it. All that. Don't use me for a garbage can, right? So I'm very cautious about who I let him. There was a season of my life where I wouldn't let any negativity come in. So if a person that I didn't want to talk to for a while, because every time they gave me a phone call, I would put a DNA by their number in my phone. And what that meant was do not answer, because every time they called, it was negativity. I didn't want to hear the negativity, right? So sometimes people, they come with all of the bad information, and when they come with the bad information, or when they come telling you negative things, when they come trying to use you as a garbage can, you got to be ready to ignore that ignorance. You got to put take the headphones or press the mute, because all of us, if we have strong cognitive skills, you ought to be able to press that metaphorical mute button. And if you can't press the metaphorical mute button, you can at least remove yourself from the situation. Because if you're not careful, people will bring you down. Jesus, they kept on talking about how bad this woman was. But Jesus, first of all, and he did it a couple of different ways. The first thing he tried to do is he tried to ignore them. He stooped down. Verse number 6 says he stooped down as though he heard them not, and continued to write on the ground. That's what it says, as though he heard them not. But in verse number 7 says, when they continued asking him, he got tired of it. He said, let me stand up. He said something. Let me tell you something. Any of you all that is without sin among you, since you got your rocks in your hand and you ready to stone somebody, you throw the first rock. In other words, if you think you're in a position where you're ready to crucify somebody, if you're ready to be judge, jury, and executioner for somebody, the first thing you need to do is you need to do a mental and physical analysis of your own personal life. And if you can look down memory lane, if you can look down and see that at some point in your life that you made a mistake, then you might want to drop your rock. You might want to put your rock down. Some people will stand up, putting posts up and all. That's how I felt about that post that particular day. But you'll put up a post thinking you got a Uzi, but you don't have nothing but a cap gun, because your life is messy. I said something. I need to hold on. I got to get myself one right then. Hold on. I need to get myself one right then. I'm not even gonna do it that way. Hold on. I'm gonna get myself some. Right. Let me do it. You sit here and think you got a Uzi, but you really don't have nothing but a cap gun. Catherine, I almost called you there. I almost wanted to see if you were gonna be on the show with me. Catherine's the one that got me in this thing. But you sitting there thinking you got a Uzi, but you ain't got nothing but a cap gun, because when you go look in the mirror, your life is so messy. Who died and left you God? Huh? So when Jesus said, he that is without sin among you, let him cast the first stone, you know what he did? He didn't even sit around and do no analysis. He didn't take names. He didn't say pass around a list and say everybody sign up. What he did was he went back to doing what he was already doing. He stooped back down on the ground and started writing again. I don't know what he was writing. He might have been writing their names down, because, he was omniscient. He knew everything. So if they had already been with her in the past, he knew that too. Where the man at? Why they didn't bring him? Yeah. Jesus stooped down. Stooping is a position of humility. Never will forget Kent. What was Kent's last name? Kent. I can't think of Kent's last name. White guy. Back in about 2009, I was running a shoe shine stand. Yep, I used to shine shoes. I had a shoe shine stand in Buckhead, and I shined lawyers and financial professionals. I shined their shoes. There was one dude named Kent. I can't think of Kent's name, but Kent made a lot of money. And Kent always got his shoes shined. And at that time, Mackenzie had to be 3. Mackenzie had to be 3. Mackenzie had to be 3. She's 20 now, but she's had to be 3. And Kent came downstairs to get his shoes signed. And Mackenzie came to work with me that day. And when he walked up to Mackenzie, he did something that was, it was strange to me, but it was powerful. He got down on one knee, looked her in her eyes, and said, "Hey, Mackenzie, my name is Kent, and your name is?" He said, "Mackenzie." Blew me away. Blew me away. Y'all don't see it. I do. He stooped down. This man who made several $100,000 a year was in a powerful position, stooped down in humility and got on the level with a 3-year-old child, shook her hand and said, "Hello." Didn't say my name is Mr. Kent. Didn't say my name is Mr. whatever his last name was. I can't remember. Didn't say, didn't give a title. Didn't give none of that bull junk. All he said, got on one knee. Some of y'all say, "I don't get on my knee to do nothing but pray." But he got on one knee, humility, got down on one knee, looked her in her eyes, said, "Hey, Mackenzie." Took his head. Somebody trying to call me? Let me see. I missed a phone call. Yeah, no, I didn't miss a phone call. Okay, cool. Got down on one knee, and literally looked that girl in her eyes and introduced himself. Jesus got down on one knee. This same woman that it might, and I'm going to say this, and don't take it the wrong way, she might have gotten on her knees for a whole lot of men in her lifetime. Or she might have got on her knees for the wrong one man in her lifetime. But Jesus said, "No, you ain't got to get on your knees this time. I'm going to get on my knees. I'm stooping down." Because you know what? This woman had been, Jesus said, he didn't say it with his head, but he said it with his heart. I mean, he didn't say it with his mouth, but he said it with his heart. He said, "Woman, watch this. You've been judged enough. Because right now, you got enough accusers. I'm going to be an advocate for you." And that's I don't know who I'm talking to, because somebody here might be dealing with the pressures of life, and the pressures of life might be weighing you down, and it might be challenging your mental psyche. I don't know where you are in life, but here it is. I'm telling you that you've had enough accusers and that Jesus is an advocate. And here it is. We as believers, if we are believers, we got to learn how to stop being fault finders and learn how to be advocates. Come here. All right, Paul, I'll say it. Jesus told me to say it. Brethren, if a man, there it is, Galatians, be overtaken in a fault. Who does it? I got some Bible readers on here. If a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, you have the power to restore such a one. We don't want to restore nobody. We want to see him suffer. And you know what? We think we're supposed to suffer too. You don't. I felt that in the Holy Spirit. You don't have to suffer, baby. Suffering, you can change the course of your life. I said earlier, and I've had people call me today. I said earlier that it's easier to amputate than it is to rehabilitate. And I've had phone calls today, and I saw people on the post say that they would rather amputate than rehabilitate. They said they would rather walk with an eternal limp, an everlasting limp, a perpetual limp, because most people I've seen, it's going to have a certain little offness there. It's going to be a little limp if you're an amputee. You're going to be a little limp. But they said they'd rather limp rather than feel pain, rather than do the work to get rid of the pain. All right. So she needed an advocate. She didn't need more accusers. So verse number 9, and they which heard it, being convicted by their own conscience, went out one by one, beginning at the eldest, even until the last. I'm going to stop right there for a second. And they which heard it, being convicted, that these are the people that were just about to throw rocks. These are the people who brought this woman before Jesus and accused her, knowing that they had skeletons in their closet and that there was meat on their scalp. That's why they brought them, because they had skeletons in their closet. Why y'all give this? Why do y'all give the enemy? If you see a fire, are you gonna just go throw gas on it? Or if you see a dead body, are you gonna go stick a knife in it? Or if someone, one by one, they all left, from the eldest until the last. And then the last clause of that verse says, here it is, and Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. That, you know what? That didn't really bless me until about a couple of hours ago when I was rereading that scripture. Isn't it just like Jesus to get rid of the crowd so he can deal with that woman individually and specifically? Oh, Lord. I'm going to give y'all a real one right there. Isn't it just like Jesus? Because he wants to get you alone, because he wants to get you by yourself, to get you away from the crowd, to get you out from among everybody else. Because see, when you're around other people can give you bad advice. Other people can be distractions. Other people can represent noisiness in your life. Other people can lead you astray. Other people can be like the waves between Peter and Jesus as he's walking from the boat to Jesus. Other people can do a whole lot of things. So what Jesus did in this instance is he got rid of the crowd so he could deal with the woman one-on-one. Let me tell you something. Times will come. I'm a witness. When Jesus calls us to places of solitude. And when he does it, he's not doing it to make you bitter, but he's doing it to make you better. And obviously there was something that was around you. That's why I used to watch my stepmother do this. She would go to somebody else's house. She would see a plant growing. She would take a stem or a root from that plant, take it to our house, put it in another pot, put some soil around it, put it in and put some dirt around it. And the same plant that was growing in another plant would start to grow in our house because it was replanted. Sometimes God will take you out. Yeah. What's up, Joe? Hey, baby. Sometimes it will take you completely out just to dismiss the crowd. Dismiss the crowd. And that's what he did with this woman. He got her by herself. He got her alone so that he could do it. And I appreciate it. You know what? I appreciate John for writing it like this. Because one thing John did in this text is John identified what the woman had done, but he didn't say but what the woman had done identified her. He said she was caught in the act of an adultery, but he didn't say her name was adulteress. Because see, sometimes we're identified by our indiscretion. Does that make sense? Yeah. She was still, here it is. She was still living life's script, and her storyline could change at any moment. And that's the same thing with all of us. No matter how bad things seem, and no matter how things are going right now, things can change. Yeah. Yeah. No matter how things. So first thing we did, we saw the fault finders. I'm almost done. But the thing that was the most crucial, because we're talking about mental health right now. We're talking about how the challenges, because imagine that had to have stressed her out. All those people coming, they took that woman and brought her to Jesus and tried to accuse her. Yeah. But even with that, because we talked, remember I told you earlier about the God of this world had blinded the minds of them. And I like to use the analogy that when he blinds the mind, it's almost like handcuffs on the hand, but it's mind cuffs on the mind. So when our minds are cuffed, then we can only think so far. We can't make a healthy decision. We don't process like we would normally process when our minds are cuffed. Her mind was cuffed. So she was no longer focusing on her future. right? And the only way she could focus on her future was to fully understand her now, right? See, so many want to get to the next, but haven't dealt with the now yet. I said something right then. You want to go to the next level, but you haven't embraced or dealt with your now. Here it is. When Jesus, verse number 10, when Jesus had lifted himself up and saw none but the woman, he said unto her, I like this part, woman, where are thine accusers? Hath no man condemned thee? Imagine this. This woman who was guilty, who was caught in the very act on her couch, because she had her metaphorical couch just like I had my couch. She was on her couch, but all of a sudden she's exonerated. Imagine this. She's exonerated, even though she was guilty. And I felt it because there are times in my life I've been guilty. I've done some things that I've made some mistakes. I may drop the ball, but I'll be honest, I was just waiting to be sentenced. But at a certain point, it seemed like all my accusers disappeared because I had an advocate that said he might have messed up, but God give him another chance. You know, kind of like that old thing we used to hear when we was growing up, that problem that I had, past tense, couldn't seem to solve. More I prayed and prayed, I kept getting deeper involved. But when I turned it over, when I stopped worrying about it, gave it over to the Lord, and he worked it out. Yeah, that's kind of like what happens. All my accusers disappear. I believe, because that's when he stood her up and he said, woman, this blessed me, Lisa. He said, woman, where are thine accusers? And this is the most powerful. This is the most powerful part of the text to me, because listen to her response. She said, no man, Lord. That messed me up. She said, no man, Lord. That's liberating part. That's the liberating part of the text, because here it is. I believe Jesus wanted her, because deliverance was right there. She didn't even realize it because her eyes were still closed. I believe Jesus wanted her to see it with her own eyes and say it with her own mouth that her accusers were no longer there. Because if you can see it and say it, if you can't see it and say it, you definitely won't believe it. And that's what I was trying to tell Emmanuel earlier. Some people don't see it to say it. They're not aware. I thank God for my sense of awareness. And there were some things that I wasn't, certain things in life I've been oblivious to. I've hurt people that I didn't mean to hurt, didn't even realize I was hurting them. And when I realized what I'd done, I was ashamed because I didn't mean to. But sometimes deliverance is right there. What if deliverance has already come, but past fear has us so paralyzed that we're unable to see our present deliverance, and because we can't see it, we won't say it. I'm gonna read that one more time. What if deliverance has already come, but past fear has us so paralyzed that we're unable to see that deliverance is already here, and because we won't see it, we won't say it. Faith comes by hearing. Some things you got to say, you got to hear it, you got to put it in the atmosphere. Yeah, deliverance is there, it's available, but you're too busy listening to the accusations. Man, please, you can call me whatever you want, but that don't mean I'm going to answer to it. My name is James. That's the only thing I'm answering to, and won't answer to anything else. I refuse to answer to anything else. I know who I am. But beyond that, not only do I know who I am, I know whose I am. And that's equally and probably more important than who I am is whose I am, right? When she said it, guess what happened? Jesus settled it. When you say it, When you develop enough faith, enough moxie, enough buoyancy, spiritual buoyancy, enough spiritual backbone to tell your enemy or to recognize that your enemy is no longer here. In other words, I think it was James. James says, give no place to the devil. Submit yourself therefore to God. Resist the devil and he'll flee. Give no place. Give no place. Give no place. If I'm wrong, let me make sure. I like to be right. Give no place. But we do. When we give place, that's what ends up happening. Is Ephesians 4:27. My bad. I'm going way off. Neither give place to the devil. My bad. But I like to be right, so that's why I wanted to double check it right quick. Yeah. Yeah. He said unto her, and this is the power, this is the liberating part of the text, because she was able to see it after she opened her eyes. Some of y'all been delivered a long time. You just won't open your eyes. It's right there in front of you. It is. But after she was able to see it, he settled it. He said, you know what? He said, woman, where are thine accusers? She said, no man, Lord. He said, neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. Ugh. He delivered. He told her, you know, in other words, that was my moment. That was my epiphany, that sudden revelation. Because I was like that. I was on the couch. He every so often he would send me reminders of who I was and what my purpose was in life and what I was supposed to be doing. And I thank God for those little reminders, right? And it's one thing for him to send reminders, but it's another thing when he shows up himself. He showed up for her, and he says, woman, if they don't condemn you, because they the ones that brought you to you and they left. But if they don't condemn you, guess what? Neither do I. Get up, gone, and sin. No, it don't say she moved cities. It doesn't say she changed addresses. It doesn't say anything like that. She just changed behavior. And that's why I think sometimes our society is so punitive. You know, if somebody hurts us, if somebody steps on our toe, because I told you we're taught naturally to react. If somebody steps on our toe, it's a natural reaction to say, ouch. Sometimes I'm going to lift up my foot and try to trip you if you step at the right person, you know, you're going to do it. But when we're free fully, and that's the thing, because later on, you look at that text later on, it'll say that he said, not only are you free, but you're free indeed in that moment. And what that means is he wants us to be free fully. They thought their freedom was tied up to who they were connected to, talking about Abraham, because Abraham had never been in bondage. And Jesus said, before Abraham was, I am. You know, you talking about Abraham, but I was there. I am long before Abraham was. And they couldn't fathom that looking at Jesus's age. But he said, yeah, and that's why you're still bound, because you're too. And that's why a lot of people are. We're bound. And that's why we have to. Do me a favor as we continue this mental health month. Let's try to work on giving people a margin for error. Because truth be told, you don't know what somebody might be going through. Reality suggests you don't know what somebody, thank you, Sis Smith. You don't know what a person might be going through. So rather than practice point the finger writers, rather than be punitive and play judge, jury, and executioner, just remember that somebody in your life extended grace unto you. And like I was watching Marvin Sapp's story yesterday on Unsung, and when I heard the place that he wrote that song from, Never Would Have Made It, I was like, yeah, I can relate. I can relate. And sometimes life's challenges, man. This last challenge I went through, it was a challenge. I don't have any other way to explain it. It was man, it was a challenge. I mean, real talk. It was a challenge. And it put me in a dark place that I was kind of confused. Like, I'm like, how I get here? You know what I'm saying? Because I thought my mind, I thought I was all right. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was okay, man. I ain't think, I'm like, how I get here? But it let me know it can happen to anybody. Now, am I mentally ill? No. Was my mental health probably challenged for a couple of weeks? Yes. Am I on medication? No. Did I have to talk to somebody? Yes. and all of us at some point might have to. But what Jesus succeeded in doing with that woman was he got her to focus on her future rather than, or instead of being paralyzed in her present. And I don't know who I'm talking to now, but somebody under the sound of my voice, I feel it in my spirit that somebody is paralyzed in your presence. But if you open your eyes and say it with your mouth, and you see it with your own eyes, that your accusers, they don't really matter like that. They don't really matter. They don't. They have no authority. The worst enemy is, my worst enemy is in me. And as long as I keep this flesh under subjection, as long as I strive to do better, and when I make a mistake, I try to correct behavior, because I'm probably gonna make a couple of more. Then I'm striving for mastery. I'm striving for perfection, trying to do better. And if I live right, one of these old days, when it's his to call and mine to answer, he might not call me James, might not call me Kirklin, might not call me by my title. But as long as he says servant, well done, I'm good. I got it. And that's where I'm at. So that's where I'm at. So we're going to be talking about mental health. We're going to be looking at biblical scriptures and trying to juxtapose our personal lives against some biblical characters to see how they had navigated their own metaphorical couches. Because I don't know what your couch is, but all of us have been stuck somewhere. And when we stayed there for an extended, thank you, Lisa. When we stayed there for an extended period of time, we found ourselves asking the all too common question, how did I get here? How did I end up in this place? That's what I asked. First, really, I think the second chapter of the book, how did I get here? Because if you'd told me 6 months ago that I was going to be in this place, on this couch, stuck, marinating in my misery, as Dr. Oliver says, saturating in my sorrow, if you'd have told me I'd be doing that, I wouldn't have believed that. There's no way. But yet here I was. And when I got delivered from the couch and I was faced with a similar situation, I almost went back to the couch. That's why mental health, doing the work, that's why it's important. That's why it's important to do the work. Do the work. You can't expect things to fall back. Our community has been overly traumatized, and we've never dealt with it. Not like it's supposed to be dealt with. You know, we holler reparations, and that's okay. I mean, I believe we deserve something as well. But if you give the average person a big check, what they gonna do with it? Spend it. You need financial literacy before you need a check. We gotta be transformed. Transformed through the trauma. Yeah, I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed tonight's show. I didn't mean to be on this long, but I wanted to get through that whole text. And if you didn't get a chance to listen to the beginning of the show, I'm gonna try to put it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts tonight or tomorrow. If not, it'd be by next week. You can go back and listen to the audio version if you don't want to listen to the watch the video, and that's okay. I appreciate those who called, the one who called in tonight. Appreciate all of you all who have participated in the comments. Trust that something was said or hopefully done that would encourage you as you listen now. If you want, what's up, Tony? What's up, TP? If you want to bless the platform, of course, I'm going to pray in just a moment, but I'm gonna put this Cash App up. And if anybody wants to bless the platform, you're welcome to do so. I don't solicit like that, but if you do, I'm not going to ever stop you from being able to be a blessing to the platform. Can I pray? Do y'all mind if I pray tonight? Because Tony, I don't know if you heard or not, but this is Men's Mental Health Month. And so we're going to do shows related to mental health for the foreseeable future. And I'm going to be doing a lot of illustrated sermons. And I'm going to be using biblical characters to talk. I'm a preacher, and I mean that's what I do. I'm sorry, I'm not apologizing for that, but that's what I do. So I'll and I'm learning. A lot of people just don't go to church anyway. So if this might be the place where they get a word, then y'all tell them I'm gonna be here on Monday nights, and I'm gonna break down the word in a practical way, and hopefully they'll be able to understand it on a surface level. We can stop all the arguing and the fighting and and all that kind of stuff, because it doesn't really get us anywhere anyway, right? So let's stop talking church and let's start being the church. But let me pray. Eternal God, our Father, I come before you tonight, first of all, saying thank you for what our ears have heard, our eyes have seen, and our hearts have been made to feel. Thank you for the word that has gone forth tonight. We trust that it has fallen on good ground. I pray for everyone who's under the sound of my voice, those who are listening live and those who will listen in the future. I pray a special blessing upon all of their lives. I pray that you would impart unto them the helmet of salvation and keep their mind, so that when the enemy comes in to hide the light, Father, that you would expose it, God, and that you would give them what's necessary to make it through these times. God, guard our minds, because we know that the enemy seeks to steal, kill, and to destroy. But you've come that we might have life. So God, give it to us more abundantly. Thank you now for what you're doing, what you've done. Give us a good week. Give us a good month. God, give us a good rest of the year, Father God. Surround us with who we need to be surrounded with. We thank you now in advance for what you're about to do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. And thank God. All right. So I appreciate you all, like I said, for we're gonna flip this show a little bit. I feel more comfortable here. So we're going to do this. If anybody, I mean, I can hang on. Like I said, got a few more people on. Before I leave, I'm gonna turn the music down. Before I leave, I want to open up the back up there. The Cash App is, if y'all want to bless, like I said, the Cash App, the intellectual stew, just like it sounds. Yeah, we would appreciate that. But if there are any questions, because I don't want to leave any stones unturned, I want to make sure that we have clarity, especially if I'm going to be teaching Bible. Okay, so if you have any questions, if you want to type it in the comments, I'll leave this on for another 4 or 5 minutes to answer those questions. If you want to call in, give a testimony, if you relate to the mental health community and you want to give advice or whatever, the floor is open. You're welcome to do so. This is Stew Nation. It's not supposed to be a monologue. It's supposed to be a dialogue. So you all are welcome to participate in this conversation. Elder Lisa, I appreciate you for sure. That's my church made at home. Alicia, I appreciate you for that article that you shared with me earlier today. And if you all did not see the article, I put it in the chat earlier. It explains the difference between mental health and mental illness. It explains the levels to that. So if you have not seen that, let me see if I can put it back in the chat one more time. Any questions? Y'all don't have no questions. But I don't be liking to let y'all go. I like talking to y'all. Y'all are my friends. Don't talk like that, child. Y'all are my friends. I'm supposed to be putting the article back. Oh, what are you doing? Y'all, I'm so loud right now. All right, here we go. I'm putting the article in there. This, like I said, this was shared with me earlier. That beat is hot, and that was me. You should have heard us today. We did a little jam session and came up with my music. Then I started singing that little hook and falsetto. He was like, "Oh, record that. We're gonna do that right now." All right, there the article is again for those that can see it. That's on Facebook. Let me see if I can post it for those in YouTube. I'm doing great. Thank you. I told y'all affirmations like oxygen for the soul. So when you give me affirmation like that, it makes me want to keep on, make me do it another week. E-Man, you still hanging around, my friend? I'm gonna get you on the show one of these days. They're I need some questions, y'all, because I don't want to. I don't want to stop talking yet. I can keep doing this. All right. All right. Good night, Viola. We'll talk later on. I want some. So let me ask this thing: was I clear? No, that wasn't right. Oh shoot! Can I erase that message? Delete comment. Let me delete this comment again. All right, y'all got to get the article off of Facebook. Well, yeah, that was powerful. That woman said, he stooped down, said, whoever without seeing cast first stone, everybody left. She didn't even realize it. They've been gone. What's kids? They've been gone, y'all. I'm gonna tell you that they've been gone. Whoever it was that you feel like was holding you back, that's giving you credit. Oh my God, that's hindering your next relationship. They've been gone. That was a revelation right there. If you missed that revelation, man, you somebody can go to sleep on that one tonight. Whoever still has power over you, that ex-husband, ex-wife, ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, and they're still affecting how you relate in your new relationships, open your eyes. They've been gone. That's the woman said. He said, woman, where are thine accusers? She said, no man, Lord. They've been gone. Yeah, somebody text that on the way out. They've been gone. I'm gonna type it myself. Y'all ain't gonna type it nowhere. So I'm gonna type it. They've been gone. They've been gone. I gotta put it on YouTube. Now I gotta put it on Facebook. They've been gone. Been gone. Y'all still giving them power. Been gone. All right, that's cool. Yeah, they've been gone. I'm using improper English. You can use Mississippi English this time, Conjure. They've been gone. Y'all still giving them power. I ain't finna go through that ever again. Quit fighting there. That person ain't finna do that to you. They ain't the same person. Oh, I'm in the wrong key. They've been gone. And the famous words of Teddy Bear. I think I better. Looking back over the years, like a Teddy P. Yeah, that is Teddy P. Telling myself time and time again, this time I'm gonna win. But another fight just ain't right. Losing again. Take a fool to lose twice. I think I better start over again. I think I better let it go. Looks like another love. TKO. But why are we knocking ourselves out, Emmanuel? How long do I think after what type of severance? I don't, you know what, but whatever type of after severance of a relationship. I don't, you know what, there's not a one size answer for that. Each person is different. You know, some person, you know, I would think that a person that's been in a 1-year relationship might not struggle as somebody who's been in a 10-year relationship. But I might be naive to think like that, you know, because I'm sure a person that goes through a 1-year marriage hurts just as much. But and I can't tell them that their hurt doesn't hurt. So I don't know how long it takes. It took me a while, long time. But part of it because I wouldn't let myself. I think at a certain point, you got to give yourself permission to heal. You got to give yourself permission to heal. And that all starts. Maybe that's what I'll deal with next Monday. I won't move on. But you said move on. Let it go. Yep. All right, so we out of here. No, I didn't say that. I'm on the reconciliation side, Emmanuel. So I'm on another side. Yeah. I'm on the other side of that whole thing, Emmanuel. I'm not on the let move on side. I think people preach move on too much. I'm on the reconciliation side. Like I told people earlier, some people rather amputate than rehabilitate. And the sad part about it, I had several people in my inbox saying that they would much rather amputate than rehabilitate. And every amputee that I've ever seen walks with a limp. So that's, you know, but I don't judge people for what they do. If you want to be single for the rest of your life because you want to avoid the drama or the potential drama that might not ever come because sometimes it's like a fight in air. That's all good. I'm done. All right, so it's been fun. It's been real. I'm out. As I always say when I get ready to leave. No more questions. Going. going. Are you still here? Don't burn your bridges. Definitely don't burn your bridges. Hold on one second. I can't believe y'all waited, but I'm glad you did. Nicole, when you gonna come on the show with me? But give me about. I want to show it about 3 mental health professionals. I want 2 women, and 1 man, and 1 non-mental health professional. I want 4 people, including plus myself. That'd be 5. We're gonna do something. All right, so I'm out. Like I said, the world is changing. I said that already. It don't matter. The world is changing. My question is why? Y'all keep talking. I'm gonna keep talking, but I'm not talking. No. The world is changing. Why do you remain the same? Y'all have a good night. I won't be on next Monday. I'll be on next Monday, but I'll be on probably Tuesday next week. Okay, so I'll see y'all then. Good night.